Welcome to JMR Talks. Today we will discuss about trust, the Kohinoor diamond. Now, what is trust? As we all know, trust refers to assured reliance on someone's character, ability, strength, or truth. It could be of any person or it could be of what called anything. Now, why trust is what called very important? Now, as per what called American Psychologist Association, when the partners of business, instead of when they enjoy what called clear trust, they spend more time in making their business successful rather than what called settling what called their conflicts or what called issues between them. When there is a trust at the workplace, the company could weather any storms that are posed by the what called competition. Today we are all in what called VUCA environment, where competition has what called has come to what called stay. So when the teams what called enjoy trust, they'll be able to what called wither away any kind of challenges. Why trust is important? When we look at what called employee performance, we find that a sense of trust plays a very key role. In other words, it's one of the what called very important what called consideration. When the employees what called enjoy the trust of their managers, their leadership, and all that, they'll give their what called best. In fact, I'll say that trust is the basis of all relationships and all what called interactions. Stressing the importance of relationships and the what called need to build trust, etc. I keep sharing with my students about a 6-word human relationship model. Start practicing what called saying we. Thank you. Could you please? May I help you? You did a great job. I admit that I made a mistake. So when managers start practicing this 6-word human relationship model, they start what call cultivating trust in their employees, and they what call they enjoy their trust. Trust increases the productivity and the morale of the what call employees. They work more effectively as a team. It reduces the time to discuss key issues because the team members trust each other. There is a psychological safety among the team members. That's fine, given the importance of trust. Now a question arises as to how do you build trust? Let us keep one thing in mind. Trust is built through actions, not words. When you say that you are trustworthy, do you practice it? Not simply what I call preaching it. Now, some of the ways how a manager could build trust is empowering the staff. When I'm talking about empowering the staff, I am reminded about the three principal motivational elements. As Daniel Pink, what he said in his great book, The Drive, wherein he says, autonomy, mastery, and what I call purpose. People love what I call autonomy, some kind of freedom. Second, when you are open and what I call transparent in what I call in monitoring, in managing, and all that. Next, you refrain from favoritism. That means you don't favor what I call few against what I call others. And the last but not the least is what I call employees' expectations. In fact, employee is not bothered how much you know. Rather, he is interested how much you know about him. Now, there's a very important story, when we keep what I call talking about trust. Once a father, as you could see in the picture, he was, what I call, helping his daughter, to cross a bridge, on the what I call river. So the father said, hey, come on, hold my hand, so that I can help you to what I call cross the bridge. And the daughter said, no, you hold my hand. Then the father, became a bit curious. And why don't you hold my hand instead of asking me to hold your hand? Then the daughter said, if I hold your hand, when I look at the water beneath the bridge, I may get scared and could leave it. On the other hand, when you hold my hand, come what may, you will never let go of it. So there's a beauty of what I call trust as us. So we need to understand that the essence of trust is not in mind but born. So what is the takeaway for the managers? Do you hold the hand of a person in whom you put your faith and trust rather than expecting them to what you call hold yours. Right. So when we are talking about what I call trust, focus on developing talent. We all know about Stephen Covey, who wrote outstanding book, The Seven Habits of Highly Effective People. In his two books named what I call The Speed of Trust and what I call Smart Trust, interestingly he aligns trust to two tangible what I call business outcomes. That means two discernible, two noticeable. One is speed and the other is what I call cost. Now what Stephen Covey says is that when there is low trust, the speed becomes a casualty and cost gets what called enhanced, resulting in what he calls low trust tax. On the other hand, when there is a high trust, the speed increases and the cost what call comes down, resulting in what I call high trust what I call dividend. That's great. But how do we define, practice, and measure what I call trust? Swaminathan, in one of his article in what I call in Times of India on December 7, he what I call suggested few steps. Let's have a look at them. Number one, trust is about being authentic. For instance, look at what I call Douglas Conant. He was a CEO of Compel Soup, American processed food company. So after taking over what I call CEO, what he did is that he started a process called declaring yourself. What is this declaring yourself? He started what I call speaking about his ideas, his beliefs, with what I call employees, and simultaneously he also what I call let them what I call speak about their intent, what are their expectations from the leader and all that. Now this is how he built what I call a culture of what I call trust. Second, flexibility. Today, a distributed workforce is got here to stay. Some people are working online, some people are working what I call offline, some people offline what I call online. So shouldn't we focus on outcomes rather than what I call micromanaging and looking at what I call the hours spent by the what I call employees? Now when we look at the work in today's context, we'll find what I call two categories. Number one, the works involving effort and what I call time, and the works involving a decision and the outcome. And accordingly, I think we should devise our ways and means of what I call managing the people and what I call supervising the people. Third, broken trust. Once trust is broken, I am sorry to say that you are physically alive but clinically dead. What do I mean? When you lose the trust of employees, your ability to what I call influence, your ability to what I call inspire, finish. So what do you mean by broken trust? When there is information asymmetry, you're not what I call informing, you're not involving, you're not what I call inspiring. So how do you expect them to what I call perspire? In today's context, there is every need to what I call hyper personalize the learning content. You can't have a general curriculum when we are talking about upskilling our people, updating our human resources and all that. The next, raise and redefine employee care. Our nations have been taking care of their employees. I'm saying that, but thanks to the COVID, we have seen there is a need to what I call raise the what I call employee care. What I'm trying to say is improved what I call employee care during what I call adverse times. During the COVID, we have seen how some companies successfully what I call took care of health, employees' well-being. They are providing tools, resources, their learning and development, recognition, reward, and not the most important is what I call employee engagement. Maybe it's time to move from what I call empathy to what I call compassion. Empathy is when we are having only a sympathetic what I call attitude towards what I call employees' problem. But when we say compassion, our readiness to what I call alleviate their pain or suffering and all that. Lastly, I would like to what I call say a few things about managers and trust, because as per Gallup survey, managers play a key role in what I call creating a strong and vibrant work environment where people give their what I call best, given the fact that all of the resources are either available, accessible, or what I call affordable. So for managers, I feel that trust is like a Kohinoor diamond. It's very important, what I call they should what I call possess it. But when I say trust, I mean three types of trust: communication trust, competency trust, and contractual trust. When I say communication trust, we all know that communication is the what I call hallmark of management. But whether your communication builds loyalty, whether it what I call carries a tag of credibility, could what I call people take you at their face value. The second, competency trust. I keep telling my students that till you become a manager or a leader, success is all about growing yourself. But once you become a manager or leader, success is all about growing others. First of all, are you competent? And after being competent, are you competent enough to what I call make your people also what I call competent? In other words, whether your associates could count on you for resolving what I call their issues, for guidance, mentoring, counseling, etc. And third one is what I call contractual trust. When I say contractual trust, I am referring to what I call the verbal and what I call written commitments. So given the fact they play a very key role in the workplace, managers need to what I call build trust what I call in their employees. Hope what I call organizations in general and managers in particular pay their attention to what I call this trust, and which is for me a Kohinoor diamond, so that employees give their best for the outstanding performance of the organization. Thank you.